Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. And I would like to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp, BetterHelp, betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez. They are wonderful. They are an online counseling company. They are international. So if you are in another country and you're having wait lines that are ridiculous, you can get on to BetterHelp, fill out some questions and answer all those questions. And then they'll hook you up with a master's level or a PhD level licensed professional in the USA. And hi guys. And if you are in a small town, you can get on there and get onto a counselor online that's somewhere in your state, and you don't have to drive 100,000 million miles. And the thing that really makes me happy is they're affordable. So their package of 4 is like $65. And I've been getting really good feedback. So people have been letting me know, hey, this is working. This is good. I love my counselor. Everything's good. So BetterHelp.com, BetterHelp, betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez. There we go. All right. So you may notice I have this microphone thingy in front of me. I'm apparently turning these into podcasts now, according to Andy. So that's why I've got this big microphone thingy right there. So anyway, okay. So before we dive into today's topic, I wanted to remind you that my books are available on Amazon and they're on Audible. And I do the reading for them. So you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him cha-cha. And you've got What's Wrong with Your Dad, which is about me growing up in the absolutely insane family that I had. Thanks for playing. And also I wanted to remind you of Susanna Quintana. Susanna Quintana at SusannaQuintana.com. This is where you can get her book, You're Still That Girl. She's amazeballs. I love her. And big announcement, we're going to be talking next week about getting together to do a seminar, hopefully in Palm Springs, hopefully in April, May. We haven't decided yet. We got to get together and talk and figure things out. So she and I are hopefully going to be doing a seminar, if not going on tour together, which I think would be a lot of fun. And of course, there's Shahida Arabi's. I love her. Love this book. So Shahida Arabi's Highly Sensitive Person's Guide to Dealing with Toxic People. And she's got great suggestions in here for journaling and all sorts of good stuff. So great book. And I'm hoping that if I get out to New York, I'll be able to pop in and say hi to her because I really appreciate her stuff. So, okay. So what other announcements did I want to make? Okay. So speaking of tours, so on chrisgodinez.com, we've got Tempe is going to be in January. Fairbanks, I don't know why I picked Fairbanks in the middle of winter, but Fairbanks is going to be in February. San Diego, I don't think we have that up yet, but I just confirmed San Diego is going to be March 26th. And then we're looking at Palm Springs for Susanna and I and all that sort of good stuff. So tickets will be available on chrisgodinez.com. And we are limiting the size because I don't know what's going on with the whole Delta variant and all that sort of fun stuff. And I'm going to keep an eye on it. So if it looks like it's getting weird, I'll cancel it. We'll do it again some other time. But for now, I've got January, February, and March for sure. So January is going to be Tempe, February is going to be Fairbanks, and March is going to be San Diego. So, and we're going to limit it to about six tickets each. So anyway, there's that. All right. So let's dive into the topic today. So everybody has bad days. Everybody. I have bad days. You have bad days. The Pope has bad days. The Dalai Lama has bad days. It's like, it just happens. It just happens. Everybody has those off days. And it's the internal thoughts and the external events that kind of create this perfect storm for having a bad day. So how do we manage that? So that's the big question. So first of all, we have to take a look at what are the, how do I explain this? What do we tell ourselves? What do we tell ourselves about having a bad day or about having made a mistake? Because nobody's perfect. Absolutely nobody is perfect. So what do we tell ourselves when we screw up? What do we tell ourselves when things don't go the way we wanted them to or we hoped they would? What do we tell ourselves? And in a lot of families, it's basically, it's not okay to make a mistake. So If you were raised in an alcoholic family, a drug addicted family, a narcissistic family, a personality disordered family, any sort of, excuse me, any sort of disordered family, there's a lot of perfect pictures and a lot of you have to be perfect. You can't make a mistake. You have to be perfect. So there's a lot of non-permission to be human, basically, because humans make mistakes. That's how we learn. Hopefully, of course, narcissists never do learn from their mistakes. They just keep making them over and over and over again, which is the definition of crazy. So basically what it is what were you told when you made a mistake? Did you get your nose rubbed in it? A lot of us did. A lot of us did. And so what we find is that when we've left the abusive family situation or even the abusive romantic partner situation or boss situation, especially if the narcissist was the type that would be like, how dare you not be perfect? How dare you make a mistake? How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? Or why did you do that? That was so stupid. You're bad. You're wrong. Da, 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 you know, all of that stuff. And they're like rubbing your nose in it. When we leave those situations, we have a tendency to become the voice of our abuser. So that internal critic, right, the internal thought, suddenly takes over for the abuser that is no longer there, which sucks. And I'm just like, why, people? Why does it do that? Well, we're so used to being punished that we kind of have incorporated all of that negative, nasty stuff, and it becomes part of our running dialogue. And to this day, I still have problems with that. It still pops up. If I make a mistake, and I do on occasion, I'm not perfect. I don't walk on water unless it's frozen. You know, I'll beat myself up. It'll be like, oh my God, why did you say that? Why did you do that? Why did da 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 da? You're so stupid. Da, da, and it sounds just like my dad. That's there's my sign. Here's my sign. How do I know that it's not me? Well, it sounds just like my dad. It sounds just like an abuser. It sounds just like, because a good, kind parent would never do that. They would be like, oh, okay, you made a mistake. Did you try to make amends? Okay, good. You did. All right. What more can you do? Okay, nothing. Forgive yourself and move on. That's what a good, kind, internal parent does. A cruel, vicious, harsh, mean, judgmental, terrible parent will sit there and go, why did you say that? Why did you do that? Why are you, no, you're so stupid, da, 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 and just like, rub your nose in it kind of thing. Instead of going, yeah, it was a mistake. Yeah, you probably shouldn't have said or done that. Okay, now what? Can you make amends? Okay, yes, you've made amends or you've offered to make amends. Okay, what more can you do? Nothing? Okay, let it go. So it's crazy how the training we got from our family of origin really impacts how we handle bad days. So if our family of origin was constant chaos and something goes wrong and that just blew everything up, that's what we are used to. Let me just say that again, because I've had this question several times from people. It's like, why do I fear the silence? Why do I fear the calm? Because we're not used to it. Because in our family of origin, if we were raised by somebody who was disordered, somebody who was alcoholic, somebody who was addicted, somebody who had issues, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, they tend to have chaos around them. They're constantly like the Tasmanian devil, like a little whirlwind of chaos everywhere, chaos. And when things don't go their way, they blow up and they come unglued and they literally have a temper tantrum like a 2-year-old. And so everyone's walking on eggshells around them. And there's this constant sense of drama. And there's this constant sense of, what's the word I'm looking for? Chaos, just chaos. Just there's no silence. There's no quiet. There's no relaxing. There's no, chilling out and, hey, if we make a mistake, it's okay. Or if things don't go our way, it's okay. There's none of that. There's always this, if it doesn't go my way, I'm going to be Mount Vesuvius, right? And that tends to be what a lot of abusers do, is they turn into a raging volcano of anger and nastiness and verbal vomit. So we're used to that. And so what we tend to do is when we're uncomfortable with ourselves and when we're uncomfortable with that silence, we tend to create the drama and the chaos and the everything else, and it snowballs. So let's say something happens. Something doesn't go your way. Something goes wrong. You did something. It's not perfect, whatever. Okay. What will happen is that the internal dialogue will start blaring, and it'll be the voice of whoever the main abuser was. And you may not recognize it as the voice of the main abuser at first because you've been hearing it your whole life and you're not used to tuning into that internal critic and identifying, where is this coming from? Whose voice is this? Whose criticism is this? Whose nastiness is this? You know, we're just so used to it going that a lot of clients, when I start working with them on this internal nastiness set off by an external event, usually, they're like, oh no, it's my voice. I'm like, nope, we do not pop out of the womb damning ourselves. We don't. That is a taught behavior. So you got to figure out whose voice is that? Who is the voice of that internal critic? Who's the one that taught you to be cruel and mean and nasty and vicious to yourself? Because that is not how we are normally. So we do something, we're not perfect. Suddenly this internal critic comes out and just rah, 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 and then we start ruminating. So we start fixating on whatever it was that we did wrong. Why? Because that's what the abuser would do to us. You look at that wrong thing you did. You tell me why you did that. You tell me why, you know, that's what they do. Tell me why you did that. It's like we're begging them for forgiveness, like they're God. Oh yeah, they think they are. But they treat us like less than if we're not perfect, because if we're not perfect, what does that make them? So in their little magic thinking, they are perfect. Everyone around them has to be perfect, because if everyone around them is not perfect, then maybe they're not perfect. So they get very angry when people are human, when people are normal human beings and make a mistake. And they get very angry. They take it very personally. Like, how dare you? How dare you not be perfect? So if you were raised in a family where there was that non-permission to be human, you know, like not okay to make a mistake, then you're going to have that internal dialogue that is going to fixate on whatever happened that didn't go the way you wanted it to, that maybe you said the wrong thing or you did the wrong thing or there was a miscommunication or whatever, and you're going to ruminate on it. And it's going to just be this nasty feedback loop of nastiness. It's like, you know, just when you start feeling okay about it, suddenly it'll go, oh, well, you know, you really are a terrible person and blah, 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 blah. Stop. Spelled STAHHHHP. Stop. Yeah. So you have to be able to stop that internal critic because of an external event. So things are going to go wrong, guys. Things are going to go wrong. It's the nature of the beast. And you have two options. You can either forgive yourself and roll with it, or you can continue to do the abuse that you suffered in your home or in your relationship or in your work setting or whatever, and continue to beat yourself up. I don't recommend that option. I really don't. I think it's better to just kind of forgive yourself. But self-forgiveness is not that easy. It's not. It really is not. And speaking from experience, when I screw up, and I do, it takes me a good, I would say half a week to kind of work through it and process it and put that internal critic down. So what I do is thought stopping. So let's talk about thought stopping. So when we've had a bad day, we have a choice. We absolutely have a choice. You can either roll with the drama and roll with the trauma and, you know, make it very dramatic and make it very, you know, have a temper tantrum. It is a choice, guys. It is a total choice. So let me give you a great example. So Andrea and I were at Disneyland this last week, and it was wonderful. I really enjoyed it. I double masked the whole time because nobody was social distancing or wearing their masks right, which drives me crazy. But so, you know, but we were having fun. And again, I had a choice in that moment. Am I going to get mad at every single person that has their mask down below their nose? No, because I would spend my entire day being pissed off, and I don't want to do that. So it was a choice. It was like, okay, well, I'm double masked. They're not. Okay, stay away from them. There we go. You know, where's the web slinger? You know, so it's a choice. It's a choice. It's a choice. And throughout the park, I saw people making choices that were not healthy throughout our entire visit. I mean, some parents, I just wanted to go up and hug because they were great. and they would, treat their child like a human being. And they would be like, oh, honey, I know you're hot. I know you're tired. I know we're standing in line. I get it. We'll get out of line soon. And they kind of like validated their kid, which was great. And then there were other parents that I just, oh, boy, howdy. Good thing I don't know where they live, because they would have gotten a CPS call, because some of them were abusive. Absolutely. Some of them were yanking their kids around and screaming at them. And I'm just like, why are you even bothering going to the happiest place on earth if you're going to try to ruin it for everybody? Ugh. So again, though, could I do anything about it? Not really. There was nothing I could do. So I could either let it ruin my day, or I could just go, okay, well, they suck, don't like it, don't like them, don't like hearing it, don't want to see it. I feel sorry for that little kid, and then you just go on about your day. Because especially if you don't know where they live, you can't really make a CPS report, and it has to be actual physical abuse, which is really annoying, because honest to God, I think the verbal abuse is worse, because yes, physical abuse leaves marks and everything, but the verbal abuse, it stays up here. It stays up here. It absolutely, and that's what I'm talking about today, is all of the verbal abuse that we got when we weren't perfect coming back to haunt us because of our abusers. So it's a choice. Everything is a choice. So when something goes wrong, right, you have a choice. You absolutely do. And you can either sit there and rail against the gods and be angry and make it uncomfortable for everybody, or you can kind of go, okay, well, that didn't work. Plot twist. Now what? And you just go on about your day. And you choose to not let it ruin your day. What abusers do, though, and what abusive families do, is they revel in that drama. They revel in that thing about, oh, I didn't get my way, and how dare it, and da, 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 da. Okay, let's do the Buddhist worry chart. What is the Buddhist worry chart? Okay, is there a problem? Well, yes. Can you do something about it? Great, yes, I can. Okay, great, then don't worry. Is there a problem? Yes. Can you do something about it? No. Okay, well, then don't worry. And it takes training. It takes practice. It absolutely does. That's why I'm saying that when things go south, it still takes me about 3 or 4 days to kind of calm that internal critic down and to have it shush and replace it with a positive. So thought stopping. So let's say something goes south. Something goes south. You said or did something. Something didn't go your way. You have in that moment a choice, and you have to recognize that. I have a choice. I have the power. I can either choose to rail and be angry and upset and all of this, or I can just acknowledge what is, well, damn, didn't get my way, didn't get what I wanted. I said something stupid, shoot. Okay, what now? Okay, so now the voices from my past are coming back and they're beating me up, beating me up, beating me up, beating me up. Okay. Hello, voices from my past. Who is this? Who is this? Who did this to me when I was growing up? Who taught me that it wasn't okay to make a mistake? Or who taught me that it wasn't okay to have things go south? Because they're going to. We don't live on a perfect planet. It'd be nice if we did, but we don't. So who taught me this? So you identify who it belongs to and you put it back on them. So seriously, like in the moment, what I will do is I'll be like, oh, hello, Bob. Wow, nice to hear from you again. Not. So this whole beating myself up thing and having to be perfect, that's all you. So I'm just going to hand you this nice little package of nastiness right back to you. Have a nice life. And by have a nice life, I mean, I'm glad you're dead. And go pound sand. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. And then I immediately replace it with, it's okay. You know, did I do the next right step? Yes, I did. Is there anything more I can do? Nope. Nope. So I got to let it go. And then when that pops up again, I do the same thing. No, thank you, Bob. I'm not playing. I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm not going to beat myself up for you or anybody else. So have a nice life. And by that, I mean, I'm glad you're dead. Bye-bye. Go pound sand. Do you see where I'm going with that? And that's thought stopping. So you acknowledge it. You don't just, so the question that came in along with this topic was, how do you determine that from toxic positivity? Well, toxic positivity is kind of like that meme where the little dog is sitting at the table with his little cup of coffee and there's fire all around him. And he's like, this is fine. You know, that's kind of toxic positivity. Whereas acknowledging the situation, yeah, I didn't get my way. Yeah, I'm sucked. I suck. This, I just did or said something bad. I suck, or I didn't get my way. This sucks, whatever. You acknowledge it. You just acknowledge it. It's like, yeah, I'm angry. You acknowledge the feeling. I feel angry when, you know, or I feel disappointed when, or I feel sad that, and you acknowledge the emotion. Because fear and shame, ooh, this is what our abusers love for us to live in, because then they can control us. Fear and shame is a control mechanism. It's a power and control mechanism. So as soon as you recognize that there are, this power and control thing going on, even though your abuser may be dead. So, okay, so this is a power and control thing that my dad used to do, or my mom used to do, or my boss used to do, or my ex used to do, or whatever. Interesting. So do I really have anything to be fearful or ashamed about? No. I made a mistake. You bet I made a mistake. Owned up to it, made the apology, made the amends, or things didn't go my way. Darn, I'm really sad or disappointed or angry that I didn't get what I wanted, but you know what? It is what it is. What can I do? I have a choice. Okay, moving on. That's really what it is. So you want to always, always, always not hand your power over to your abuser, whether they are dead or alive. So when external events happen, we don't have any control over those. We can't control other people. We can't control other events. We can only control ourselves. And I think that is a real freeing thought. It's like, oh, wait a minute. I can't control external events. Oh, wait a minute. I can't control other people. I can't control what people think or do or whatever, especially with flying monkeys. It's like they're going to do what they're going to do. Okay. All right. Well, since I can't control it, I can only control me. Okay. Well, then I have the power to choose in this moment how I am going to allow or not allow this external event, this external person, this external whatever to control me or not. Oh, goodness. Isn't that interesting? So all of this shame and fear popped up from my family of origin. Well, hello, family of origin. I'm not going to do that. I acknowledge you. I see you. I hear you. This is what we used to do. This does not work. Thank you for playing. Bye-bye. And then you replace it with the positive. It is what it is. It is what it is. What can I do about it? What can I do about it? If there's something you can do about it, do it. If there's nothing you can do about it, then you got to let it go. Like, seriously, like, okay, I've done everything I can. There is nothing more I can do. And I choose not to allow this to ruin my day. And this is why I love hanging out with my buddy Andrea, because Andrea and I are like, we recognize it's like, well, we can't control the lines. We can't control the heat. We can't control a lot of the stuff, but we can choose to continue to have a good time, even though it's hot and we're standing in line and there's a lot of screaming little kids. And every time they'd scream, Andrea and I'd look at each other and we'd be like, I feel you. I feel you. So it's like, you choose in the moment. It's always a choice. It's always a choice. And it drives me crazy when people play the perpetual victim and they're like, but this happened. And so it ruined my whole day. Well, you let it ruin your whole day. You have a choice. You can honestly give yourself 15 minutes, half an hour at the most. I would say that's even too long. I give myself 5, it's like, okay, I'll be grumpy for 5 minutes and now I'm done. Because I don't want it to ruin my day. I refuse to give my power over to something or somebody that I can't have any control over. I refuse to hand my power over to them to let them ruin my day. No, The best revenge, live well. Laugh, live well, eat good food, go do you. Yeah. So yeah, you don't ever want to hand your power over to an event or a person or something and allow them to ruin your entire day. 5 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour at the most, fine. But after that, cut it off. Nope, thank you, internal critic. I am not going to go there. Nope, thank you, dad or mom or grandparent or boss or ex or whatever. I'm not going to go there. Thanks for playing. Nope, you don't get to ruin my day. Sorry, I'm in charge, not you. That is the best feeling in the whole world when you realize they're in your head, but you have the right to evict them. And you have the right to hand back their shame and their blame and their guilt and their fear and everything else and be like, no, I'm not going to play. No, I'm not going to do what the family has always done. So it's like that old story about the roast in the oven, and they would always cut off the end of the roast. And so the granddaughter said, Mom, why do we cut off the end of the roast? Well, I don't know. You'll have to go ask great grandma. So they go back and they find great grandma because her mom always did it that way. And so they go back and they find great grandma, and great grandma finally says, well, we don't need to cut off the end of the roast. The oven was too small. We always had to cut off the end of the roast because the oven was too small. So that is the danger of always doing something just because everybody else in the family has done it. You want to examine, is this something I want to continue to do? Is this a behavior I want to continue to have? Is this something that needs to be perpetuated, or is this outdated and no longer useful and is done simply because it's habit? So you want to be careful of that. You really do. You want to be careful of the habit behavior. So blowing up when things don't go your way, allowing something to ruin your entire day, that's habit. That's habit because we watched our family of origin do that. So, okay, internal thoughts, external events. So they kind of influence each other. This is why what we think is so hugely important. And this is why mindfulness is really, really important in our recovery from abuse, because what are we thinking? What are we thinking? Because how we think affects how we feel. And vice versa. How we feel affects how we think. And so it's really important. What are you thinking? What are the thoughts that you are having? Are you being positively toxic, like toxic positivity, like, oh, this is fine, when really what you need to do is acknowledge and validate the situation as it is and, okay, what can I do? Or are you not allowing the internal thoughts to bully you? Because really it's like our outside bully have suddenly become our inside bully. So you've got to be able to tell the inside bully, no, thank you. I'm not going to play. I'm not going to ruminate. I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to allow it to ruin my day. I'm sorry. I'm not. And actually, sorry, not sorry. So that's kind of the important thing. So external events, yeah, they can create thoughts and feelings and emotions. Internal thoughts creates emotions. So we have to be mindful of what we are thinking, how we are thinking it, and most importantly, what are we saying to ourselves about ourselves? And what are we saying? How are we saying it to us? Are we mean? Are we vicious? Are we nasty? Are we cruel? Are we impatient? Are we treating ourselves the way our family of origin did? Or are we being, hey, this sucked. Absolutely. And you know what? It's okay that you're angry. It's okay that you're disappointed. And what's the next step? What can we do? Are we going to allow this to ruin our whole day, or are we going to continue on and find something happy about the day? Or what can we do? What can we do? What is the next right step? So that's really always the question you want to ask yourself. And especially with the internal dialogue, with the internal critic, if you can identify whose voice that is, oh, that's my boss. Oh, damn, that sounded just like my boss. Or, oh, wow, that was my ex-boyfriend or girlfriend. Or, wow, that was my dad or my mom or my grandparents or whatever. Then what you can do later on is go home and write them a letter. Dear whoever it was, I realized today that your perfect pictures were in my head, and according to you, I have to be perfect. Well, newsflash, I don't. Thanks for playing. I refuse to be perfect because I'm not perfect, and it's not going to happen. So have a nice day. And by have a nice day, I mean go pound sand. I'm evicting you. I am raising the rent in my head. You do not get to control me. You do not get to shame me. You do not get to make me fearful. You don't get to, period. Being in my head is a privilege, not a right. So in that vein, I'm evicting you. Get out. Have a nice life. Burn in hell, whatever you need to say. Trot it out to the barbecue. Read it out loud once. Burn it. Let it go and let the smoke carry the words wherever it needs to go. Heaven or hell, doesn't matter. To them, not to them, over the ocean, whatever. Let it go. Let it go. Because a lot of this stuff is rambling around in the back of our heads and we're not even aware of it. So it's kind of like, and I've talked about this, I talk about it in my book, and I talked about it here on air. When I first heard my internal critic, I tripped on the streets of Chico. I just tripped in the middle of the sidewalk. And I went down and immediately, oh, you're so stupid. You're such a klutz, da-da-da. Whose voice was that? My dad's. And I had to go, whoa, that's interesting. That's not how I feel about myself. So what is this about? And processing it through and the whole thing and putting it back onto him and, etc. So yeah, so you're human. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to misspeak. Things are not always going to go your way, but you have a choice. And that's the beautiful thing. And that is when your recovery is really rocking and rolling. When you go, you know what? I have a choice how to respond in this moment. I don't need to beat myself up. I don't need to ruminate. I don't need to rub my own nose in it. Or this thing went wrong. You know what? It went wrong. It is what it is. Okay. What's the next step? Now what? What do I do now? How can I salvage the day? Or how can I salvage the situation? Or how can I maybe not salvage it? Okay. Well, what can I do differently? So it's always, always, always a choice. So remember, how we think, how we say things to ourselves affects what we are feeling. When things happen externally, if we have not worked on self-esteem and boundaries, this is why I keep pushing Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi, Disease to Please by Harriet Breaker. If we have not worked on the self-esteem and the boundaries, we're going to take it personally. Like, this ride closed and it's personal. No, it's not. It's a ride. It's going to close because that's what happens. Okay, great. Let's go to the Haunted Mansion instead. You just change plans and you go. And you do not allow it to ruin your entire day. So it's a choice. It is a choice. It is a choice. All right, my loves, let's dive into the questions. Hold on. I am moving over to here to find the questions. Okay. How do I deal with people that invent any excuse to make you have a bad day because it happens every other day? So you want to avoid them. So when I realize that I'm around somebody that is constant drama, constant chaos, and this was back in early adulthood, after college, early adulthood. And I kind of realized, this person is always drama. This person is always chaos. There's always something that they want me to be upset about, that they're upset about, but they want me to be upset. I'm just not going to be around them. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Because life is too short. Life is too short. So when you are dealing with people that invent an excuse to make you have a bad day, you just don't be around them. Seriously. So this is where you're cleaning out your friends and family closet. It's like, okay, if you were not related to these people, would you have anything to do with them? The answer is no, act accordingly. And if they're not related to you, okay, well, do you really want to have anything to do with them? The answer is no. Step back, step back, step back, step back. You start stepping out of their life. You start pushing them out of your life. So instead of talking to them every day, you talk to them every other day, and then every third day, and then every fourth day, and then every week, and then every 2 weeks, and then every month, and then every other month, and then every 3 months, and then maybe every 6 months, maybe once a year. You just kind of slowly back away and get out of this drama. You don't, drama belongs on the stage or the screen. That's it. It does not belong in real life. It really doesn't. It doesn't. So, you just don't put up with it. And you don't allow it. You don't have them in your life. You just don't. Do narcs have an inner critic? No. No. And it's interesting, especially if you look at the brain scans of psychopaths, they're missing a bunch of firing ups of things like the internal critic or like the prefrontal dog face banana patch. I've lost the power of speech. The frontal cortex, and that's where our sensor lives. That's where the sensor that kind of goes, hey, that's a good thing to say, or hey, don't say that, or whatever. They kind of don't have that. So it's kind of there, but not like us. Ours is more like, how do I explain this? This is like an ingrained nastiness. And remember, with narcissists, they think their doo-doo does not stink ever. And psychopaths think their doo-doo does not stink ever. They don't have that Jiminy Cricket that kind of says, ooh, say this or don't say this, or ooh, this is a good idea or this isn't a good idea. They're very impulsive. So no, narcs don't have an internal critic. They don't. Have you ever seen a narc shamed? I haven't. You know, they don't feel shame. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that like, oh, but they're, they've got so much shame that they're making up for it. No, they don't have an internal critic. They don't have that Jiminy Cricket. They don't have that, I shouldn't say this or do this, or maybe this was the wrong thing or whatever. They don't feel shame the way we do. They don't feel love the way we do. They don't feel, period, the way we do. They don't experience emotions the way we do. They don't. And stop assigning to them the emotions that you have. That's where we get into trouble, is that we keep going, oh, but they're just like me. No, 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 they're not. Healthy, normal people do not seek to destroy other people. Healthy, normal people do not harm other people and enjoy it. Healthy, normal people do not love bomb. They don't devalue and discard. They don't seek out a harem. They don't, fill in the blank. So healthy, normal people do not do what narcissists and dark triads do. So stop assigning to them. You're kind of projecting onto them, well, but they're just like me. No, they're not. No, they're not. When they show you who they are, believe them the first time. All right. Do you know anything about premenstrual dysphoric disorder? I'm okay all month long until that part of my cycle. Then it becomes hormone and trauma get together and I'm a whole mess. Okay. So the best thing that you can do is go to your OBGYN. Seriously. And see if they can get you onto mood stabilizer for that time period. So I've got several clients that are on those and it does help. So talk to your OBGYN because they're going to be able to guide you as to what you need and stuff. But make sure you have an OBGYN that understands PMDD, yes, PMDD, and knows how to prescribe or knows how to get you to somebody that can prescribe. So yeah, absolutely. And that is that's a big thing. A lot of young women have got PMDD and right around their cycle. And this is not just post or premenstrual, normal premenstrual stuff. This is like premenstrual on freaking steroids. I mean, this is like really bad. So, the emotions go swinging out of control. The anger goes swinging out of control. There's usually a lot of cramping. There's usually a lot of not feeling good, bloating, etc. So yeah, the hormones and the trauma, you definitely want to talk to your OBGYN, see about getting on a mood stabilizer for that time of the month and talk to them about it. Yeah. And make sure they know about it and make sure that they understand and so they can help you. Yeah, absolutely. How do you control your emotions when the toxic person is in your face trying to provoke you? Gray rock. So it takes practice. It absolutely takes practice. I've been working on not reacting, but in the moment, it's tough to stay in a calm manner. Well, yeah, because they're poking the bear. They want you to react. That's what they need. So in other words, what disordered people do is they will ambush you out of the blue and they will get right up in your face and they'll start screaming and yelling and they're wanting you to respond so that they can justify whatever it is they've already decided they were going to do. So the best way to short circuit that, you stay Zen master, no response. And in fact, you can just say, I'm leaving now. And you turn around and walk out. You don't have to stay there and continue being provoked. You don't. So, but abusers do that and disordered people do that. They want you to respond. It's called reactive abuse. So they want you to respond so that they can then turn around and point the finger and go, oh, see how abusive you are. See what you did to me, blah, blah, conveniently ignoring the fact that they've been screaming at you for the last half an hour and calling you vile names and accusing you of all sorts of stuff. So it's kind of like the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing. So it's like, everybody thought it was Johnny Depp, but then the whole video came out and was like, oh, well, isn't that interesting? It's not. Fascinating. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's intentional. So you've got a gray rock. And what you do is when you've had your limit and you can no longer gray rock, I'm leaving now. And then you turn around and you walk out. You don't have to stay. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to, basically. And I've been invited to a lot of arguments as a therapist, and I refuse to attend. I just refuse. Nope. Not going to fight back. Nope. Not interested. Thank you. You just gray rock and find the humor in it because really it's a very How do I explain this? When somebody's doing that, it means they're out of control. It means they know they've lost. It means they know that they're not going to get their way and they're pissed and they want you to blow up. So like I said, they can have whatever little moment of drama that they thought they were going to have. And remember, people choose to provoke ahead of time. They know exactly what they want to achieve. They have a goal in mind. When they ambush, when they provoke, when they whatever, they've already got an agenda going on. Trust me on that one. So when you gray rock, it throws a monkey wrench in their whole plans. And then you can just kind of watch them. I do this in court. I watch them start spinning out of control because they're not getting what they want, because I'm not responding. I'm not giving them the answer they want. I'm not, so you gray rock. You just gray rock. In court, you can't walk out. But if you feel like you're losing your cool, you just turn around and leave. If you're in court, take a sip of water. Just take your time. Don't respond. Don't respond. Don't respond in kind. Tit for tat never works. An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. And that's exactly what they want. They want you to respond back with anger or with crying or screaming or whatever, because it feeds their need for narcissistic supply, because it makes them feel powerful. And if you give them nothing, they feel so powerless. And it is so beautiful to watch. So yeah, you're going to have to practice that. And like I said, if you start losing your cool or feel like you can no longer gray rock, I'm leaving now. Just dispassionately, I'm leaving now. And then turn around and walk out. And then let them scream. Let them shout. Let them throw names. Let them do whatever they're going to do. If they threaten to kill themselves, you're going to call crisis and have a crisis team come out. You're not going to be held hostage to a threat of self-harm, because that's the other thing that they do. So when they don't get their way, they're really out of control. They're angry. They're not winning. The provoking is not working. That's usually one of the last threats they throw as you're walking out the door. In that case, you call crisis on them. So anyway, there is that. How do I deal with an abusive family member that tries to embarrass me with things I did in the past? So we can only be held hostage by our past if we are embarrassed about it ourselves. Let me say that again. We can only be held hostage by embarrassment or shame if we have shame about it ourselves. I own my stuff. So, for example, when somebody brings something up from my past that I know I did, I just will be the first to be like, yo, my bad. Yep, I did that. You're absolutely 110% correct. I did. And point. And then it makes them look really bad, because it's like, there's no shame on your part. It's like, yeah, that happened. And you just keep doing that. And eventually they kind of start sputtering out because they don't know what to do with it, because they're not getting the narcissistic supply they're looking for. Again, embarrassment, shame, crying, anger, all of those are narcissistic supply to a dark triad and to a narcissist. So they enjoy watching you squirm. Don't squirm. Own it. Yep, I did that. And what's your point? See where I'm going with that? So yeah, so you own your stuff. You own it. If you have no shame about it, nobody else can shame you with it. They can try, but they're going to start looking real stupid. Like seriously, like people will eventually start going, what is this person's problem? It's obvious what they're trying to do. So yeah, you just own it. All right. What is the payoff for the abuser hurting people? Narcissistic supply. They are all about power and control. It is about controlling somebody else, having power over them emotionally, mentally, physically, and otherwise. They want to manipulate. They want to be the king or queen. So it's a high for them. It's a high for them. If you've ever watched a psychopath or a narcissist or a dark triad, psychopaths will do that narcissistic kind of creepy stare where they're trying to figure you out and just kind of looks right through you. It's the scariest damn thing I've ever seen. Narcissists get the smirk. So when they've hurt somebody and they know they've hurt somebody, like their jab just landed and they know it landed, they kind of get that, like, good for me. Oh, goody, I hurt. Oh, goody, I hurt somebody. That's, ugh, yuck. I hate hurting people. That is not my thing. But they love it. They live for it. That's their narcissistic supply. It's their cocaine. That's what they live for. They live for hurting people. They enjoy it because it validates in their twisted way of thinking that they are in power and control, that they have made you feel a certain way. That's why gray rock is so important. If you show them, no, mother clucker, you cannot make me feel a certain way. In fact, I feel no way at all about you. That takes their power away. That's why they get so angry, because they're like, oh, you should be angry, you should be crying, you should be this, you should be that. Well, no, because I've learned that that's your supply and I'm not going to feed you. Thanks. So that's their payoff. That's why they do it. They enjoy it. They're sadists. So remember, it's like everything's on a spectrum. And when narcissists slide down the spectrum, when borderlines slide down the spectrum and they become malignant, they enjoy it. There is a sadistic part to them, the narcissists and the malignant borderlines, malignant narcissists, malignant borderlines, that enjoy that. They enjoy hurting people because it makes them feel powerful. And what they don't understand is it doesn't take a rocket scientist to hurt people. It does take somebody who's pretty aware and awake to help everybody feel good. So yeah, they haven't gotten that. They don't get that. So, but they enjoy it. They enjoy it. They're sadists. They enjoy it. So anyone that you see doing that smirk when they've landed a jab at somebody, run. Do not walk to the nearest exit. This is not somebody you want to be around, because it won't be too far before they turn their vindictiveness onto you. So yeah, absolutely. Okay. Do all female survivors of narcissistic fathers struggle with feeling unsafe 24/7? How do we get past that? Okay. I don't know if all of us do that, but for me, I did have a really hard time struggling with feeling safe, and I still do to a certain extent. So what I did is I took self-defense courses. I took Wing Chun Kung Fu, and I really enjoyed it because it felt great to be able to drop a 6'5", 350-pound guy to the floor, and take him down. And it was awesome. And it was like, kind of like, I can take care of myself. Okay. And that was a real confidence booster. So I strongly suggest martial arts, any kind of martial arts. There's so many different martial arts. I just happen to like Wing Chun Kung Fu. I thought that was a lot of fun. I loved the Sifu. He was great. And unfortunately he retired, but yeah, so that will help you feel safe. And I think part of it is trusting your gut. So once we really start trusting our guts and listening to that intuition, it does help us stay safe because we're aware of our surroundings and we're listening. It's like, ooh, yeah, I don't want to go down that street. I think I'm going to go down this street instead, and we don't just poo-poo it, because remember, our abusers are always telling us to poo-poo our internal instincts. So it's really important to start listening to your gut, practicing listening to your gut intuition, trusting your gut, trusting yourself, doing the martial arts or some form of self-defense, and really recognizing you're not a victim. You're not powerless. You can protect yourself. But yeah, I think a lot of us do. I don't think all of us have that, but a lot of us coming out of an abusive relationship, especially if there was physical and sexual abuse, really do have that sense of unsafeness. I don't even know if that's a word, but yeah, it's kind of like, ooh, am I really safe? And we don't tend to trust a lot of guys at first because we haven't had a lot of role models that we could trust. So again, trusting your gut. Can I trust this person? Can I not trust this person? And then you start surrounding yourself with good, trustworthy people, male and female, and then you start proving to that inner child, hey, not everybody is an abuser. Hey, not everybody is going to be out to get you. Hey, we're okay. That kind of thing. So Inner Child Workbook, Catherine Taylor, I think that would be also very helpful. Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi. The Disease to Please, Harriet Breaker. PTSD from Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. All of those would really help to kind of work on that. Journal it through. Where did this sense of unsafety start? Can you put it back on your abuser? Can you write yourself a love letter? Can you write yourself an empowerment letter? Dear me, dear little me, let's talk to the inner child that got abused. Dear little me, you know what? I'm an adult now and I got your six. I got your back. Nobody, and I mean nobody, is going to mess with you because I'm on guard. So you can rest, little one. I gotcha. And then write yourself a love letter. Dear adult me, damn girl, you made it. You're an adult. You can do this. You've got your own back. You've got your inner child's back. You're working on your self-esteem. You're working on this. You're working on that. You've got this. You are safe. You are now trusting your gut. You are now working on your intuition. You are now, do you see where I'm going with that? Give yourself a little positive boost. Remind yourself how far you've come, because you have. So there's that. Okay. Boop, 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 boop. I've been wondering, is it covert narcissism when they're super sweet in public and people talk highly of them, and emotionally abusive or cold behind closed doors to me? Okay. So yeah. And that's also communal narcissists do that. And I think I'm going to be talking about that next week. I think I want to talk more about cults and how to know if you're in a cult, because apparently there's a bunch of cults here in Phoenix, which I was just like, really? But yeah. So I want to talk about cult behavior. I want to talk about religiosity. I want to talk about how abusers use cults and religion to manipulate and control, and the things to watch out for. So yes, covert narcissists and communal narcissists both do that behavior. So covert narcissists tend to play the victim. Covert narcissists are the poor me, I do all this for you, and you never write, you never call, and look at how much I've suffered for you, and look at how much I've given you, and you don't appreciate it, and blah, blah. And then they get everybody to feel sympathy for them, and that's their narcissistic supply, and they're smearing the person by saying that they don't appreciate what you've done for them, blah, blah. Communal narcissists are super sweet in public. Hello. Don't know what that was. Super sweet in public. Things are falling in my office. Super sweet in public, and then nasty to the kids behind closed doors. So in my family, my dad would go to church literally 6 times a week, and he was always, super pillar of the community, blah, blah. He'd get back to the house and he'd be hitting us, So I'm just like, good Christian there, Dad. Just really not a nice guy, but he would do that kind of communal, I'm the pillar of the community. Look at me, look at how pious I am. And then he'd go home and scream at us and hit us. So yeah, that's both a covert narcissist and a communal narcissist. So I want to talk more about communal narcissists next week. I want to talk about cults. I want to talk about what to watch out for, because like I said, apparently there's cults here in Phoenix, and I was just like totally clueless to that, because yeah. So yeah, don't be confused. Don't be confused. This is it. The further someone goes down the spectrum, the more all of the different types kind of start interweaving, and all the different personality disorders start interweaving, and they will flip-flop between whatever is suiting their particular purpose at the time. So they'll go from covert to overt. They'll go from overt to communal. They'll go from communal to overt. They'll, whatever is working for them, they'll flip-flop. That's just what they do. Okay. Okay, I don't think I understand this. Why do some people feel like they are the only ones getting sexually harassed? Okay, so sexual harassment is very common, unfortunately, in our society. Abusers tend to go for somebody who has had a lot of codependency in their life, or who has been abused in their past. Why? Because abusers are like sharks. You have to think of it like sharks, and they smell blood in the water. So if somebody has got a great deal of fear or shame, they'll pick up on that, and they'll make a beeline for them. So it does feel like some people, it's like it happens to more than others. Generally, it's because they go for somebody that they think they can abuse. So they're sharks. They're sharks. So the best way to protect yourself from any predator, any abuser, in sexual harassment or otherwise, is you strengthen your self-esteem. You get rid of the shame. You own it. Yeah, this happened to me. And, you don't allow them to have any power or control over you with the fear or the shame. And you work on yourself. And you make sure that your boundaries are up. And if somebody is being inappropriate, you report them. Absolutely. I think in the past, a lot of women and a lot of men were afraid to report it, because there just was kind of like this societal, like, oh, it's okay. Well, no, it's not. So yeah, you report it and you don't be afraid of it. And I think the fear is losing your job or this, that, and the other thing. So again, remember, when you go to HR, have all your facts in line, have witnesses lined up. HR is there to protect the company, not the worker. Although some HR workers are great and they are there to protect the workers, but a lot of HRs are not. So just be aware of that. But yeah, you report it. And if it's a bad situation, you return them into the EEOC and report a hostile work environment, and you look for another job. Absolutely. You never stay someplace where you feel unsafe. That's basically it. How to deal with a clingy, aging parent with overlapping narcissistic and borderline tendencies. So you are under no obligation to be around them. Again, if you were not related to these people, would you have anything to do with them? If the answer is no, act accordingly. So narcissists, when they age, become collapsed narcissists, and nursing homes are filled with them. I think I've talked several times about my mom's care facility where there was this woman at the end of the hall that would spit at the workers and curse at them. And no, she was not Alzheimer's. She just was mean. And she was angry because she didn't have any power and she had no money and she couldn't boss people around. And she was very jealous of my mom because everyone liked my mom and everyone went to her for advice. So my mom was kind of like the Ann Landers of the care facility. I just cracked me up. I'm like, oh my God. Anyway, so you deal with them by not dealing with them. You know, again, it's like if you really want nothing to do with them, you just start lengthening the time that you see them or you visit them or whatever. Don't return phone calls immediately. Don't return texts immediately. You're under no obligation. And if you really want nothing to do with them, then have nothing to do with them. Again, this is a personal choice and it depends on what you are comfortable with. Some people are perfectly okay going, you know what? They were abusive. They're still abusive. They're going to be abusive until they take their last breath. I'm done. Great, cool, walk away, you're good. You know, other people are like, ugh, I feel guilty, which you want to take a look at that. What are you feeling guilty about? Why is it your job to make them feel better about their life choices? It's not. You know, I feel like I need to have some contact with them. Okay, but if you're going to have contact with them, recognize they are not going to be the parents you always wanted and needed. Recognize that they are probably going to be manipulative and controlling and nasty and guilt tripping and everything else. And you don't have to sit and stay and take it. You don't have to. Just because they're your parent does not mean you need to put up with abuse. So again, it's up to what you can live with and what you can't live with. You know, if you have to go visit them every once in a while, guard yourself. Put the guards up. Put the shields up. Shields up. Yeah. Phasers on stun. You know, it's just be prepared that they're not going to be healthy, normal parents that we always wanted. Oh my goodness, how to deal with people trying to bring me down for being transgender. You do not have them in your life. Abso-freaking-lutely. You hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more. And you feel good about that? Mm-hmm. Don't you ever let anybody in your life make you feel bad about who you are. Ever. And I don't care who the bleep they think they are. No, thank you. No, thank you. You get to be you. And anyone who tries to bring you down for that, boot them out of your life. Totally. You do not need to put up with that. Absolutely. And that goes for everybody. So yeah, absolutely. And it does feel like, okay, you know, my friend closet is getting a little thin. Well, it needs to get thin. We need to thin out all of these people who are toxic. You don't need them in your life. All right, my loves, that is it. So next week, I'm going to be talking about cult behavior. I want to talk about religiosity. I think that's the word. Religiosity, cult behavior, what to watch out for, how to protect yourself, how to get out of a cult. So there that is. All right, my loves, have a great week. I'm going to do a midweek video with the questions that I could not get to. So have a great week. Be kind to yourselves. Drink plenty of water. For people in California, please stay safe. You guys are making me nervous. Prayers for Greenville. And I too, yeah, just mind-blowing. Anyway, so there is, things are falling off my desk. I need a bigger desk. There's that. All right, guys, have a great week, and I will talk to you later. Bye.